Bet on Bears fans, another edition of the Chicago Bears podcast coming your way. Pat the designer, Jason McKie in the building. J-Mac, we had joint practice today. We saw some highs from Caleb. We saw some lows from the first team offense overall. We saw some in between today. I think that this is what you're going to see when you face, as Ben Johnson called it, a Super Bowl caliber team. We got to talk about what we saw today in practice. Got to talk about, the ups, the downs, and everything in between. All that more in today's episode of the Chicago Bears podcast. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. J-Mac, how you feeling, my guy?
Feel good, man. I feel good that we're in the air conditioning. Still hot out there.
It's a little warm out there.
Not going to complain because in a couple months, that heat's going to go away. But great day for football. The Bears got some great action. A lot of guys got a lot of great quality reps against a really well-coached, great team that's filled with a lot of superstars. When we look at that Buffalo Bills team, it's hard to find a real weakness. And I think, when you look at the joint practice last week, Pat, us facing the Dolphins, I feel like Buffalo brought a whole new level of physicality here.
Buffalo fought back.
Yes. It went in and fought back.
The Bears were dictating policy versus Miami.
Yes.
Buffalo was like, we got gloves too, baby.
Exactly. So it was good. It was good to see these guys get some good physical reps against a good, like you said, a potential Super Bowl team, early here in camp. So anytime you get these reps is great, especially for the young guys battling for positions. I know we're going to talk about it. Yeah. The O-line, Theo Benedet in the mix right there at left tackle, guys still being rotated there. You look at Nashawn Wright, got some quality. He's been getting quality reps with the first team on defense. So a lot of guys that's vying for not just roster spots, but starting opportunities. Got a lot of great work against a great opponent today.
Got a lot of work. A lot of work. We'll talk about that coming up. Make sure you guys are tapped in with the Advantage Dealer Group, though, as well. Find your next Chevy, Toyota, or Acura and drive off in under 60 minutes, so they'll make your first car payment. Also brought to you by the Hard Rock Casino in Northern Indiana. Las Vegas-style gaming, just 30 minutes from Soldier Field, exit 6, right off I-80-94. All right, J-Mac, let's start with the conversation that is going to probably be the loudest conversation of the day. We've got 4 guys in this left tackle competition. You heard probably a litany of questions for Ben Johnson today about the answer at left tackle. You got to be out there.
It's really 3. Let's cut the BS. It's really.
Are we you taking Karan out completely?
Okay, it's really 3.
Hey,
let's keep it real. It's really 3. So
Ben said he ain't taking nobody out yet.
All right. He's the coach, though. I'm just saying.
He's the coach.
It's a 3-horse race in my opinion.
What are you seeing up close versus a different opponent at the left tackle position right now?
You look at Theo Benedet, got most of the first team reps today.
Yeah.
Obviously faced a really good Buffalo front. Good defensive ends. Gregory Rousseau was doing a great job against Theo today. That his get off and that speed to power that Gregory Rousseau has coming off the edge, but also beat Theo off the edge a couple times just with speed. Yeah. So it's obviously good work for Theo to go against a DN of that caliber. Like you said, you're just bagging reps, you're bagging the experience. You're trying to, you're going up against different people, different fronts. It's all, a learning experience, but it's an opportunity for you to get better and sharpen your craft. Braxton Jones got a lot of the 2s, the second reps today.
He was swapping in with the 1s too. When we saw mistakes happen and stuff like that, he would swap in.
And then I saw, if correct me if I'm wrong, Trapilo he was mainly at right tackle today.
He was just about 100% of the time at right. I don't know if that's where they want him at or if they're just trying to cross-train this week. Interesting week to cross-train, though.
Yeah, but I think it's a great week to cross-train because you're going up against a great front. So you're getting a good look at a different position that you may not necessarily be used to. Now, Coach Johnson came out in his press conference before practice and said, you know what, it's obvious that Ozzie is more comfortable playing right tackle because that's what he played majority at Boston College.
School,
exactly. He said, but it's good that these guys are being cross-trained, right? They're being, put in different scenarios because it's a long season. He said more than likely these guys aren't going to be – the continuity isn't going to be there in terms of the offensive line the entire season. So it's a great opportunity to get some reps against a solid front by cross-training some of your guys.
Listen, Ben has not shied away at all when it comes to the left tackle competition. I thought he kind of hit the nail on the head for what we saw today. He said it is not good enough.
Yeah.
And if we go into the season and it's week 1, somebody's got to play it.
Well,
no matter what, somebody has to play left tackle.
Yeah.
And if that guy's not good enough when we get to the bye week and we got to swap somebody in, we'll swap somebody in. It feels like what's the old quarterback adage? If you got 2 QBs, you don't got 1.
Yeah.
Feels like if you got 4 left tackles, it doesn't feel like we have 1 right now.
Yeah, and a good point he made. He said he wants there to be some clarity with that position, meaning he wants somebody to go out there and take that job.
Yeah.
He says the more reps you get, it should sort itself out. But he said he's ready to see some clarity, right? Somebody to separate in terms of that competition. And we'll see. I think it's still cloudy from what we saw today.
Yeah.
There were guys, a lot of good things we saw, in this joint practice and a lot of bad things. But with that position, it's such a tough position. There's going to be ups and downs. But I think obviously what this coaching staff is looking for and what you're looking for from an offensive standpoint is consistency, not just from that position, from this offense entirety, because, we could talk about the left tackle all we want, but still some of the same things that we saw all camp. Pre-snap penalties. You look at the first team period, the first 2 plays, you get false starts, pre-snap penalties, which will kill you, come when it's at the start of the season. So a lot of things you got to clean up, but we did see a lot of big plays being made as well. So ups and downs is practice, training camp, that's what it's for.
Yeah. I've said the 2 things I'm most concerned with, J-Mac, right now with this Bears team as a whole is things that we saw last season continue to be a Bears Achilles heel. I am concerned about the pre-snap penalties because I am not of the belief that they magically just get better if they're still a big problem in practice. You've said if you don't do it in practice, you're not going to just figure it out on Sunday. I think that's going to be an issue for the Bears this season, at least how it looks right now. I also think right now left tackle may be something that we're questioning the entire season. When you look at some of the reps here, we had false start on the right side. I can't even say left. Let's be real. The tackles were not great today. Yeah. You had a false start on Darnell Wright in that final period. This is the start the Bears situational final go down and try and score a touchdown, which they did score a touchdown on it. You had a false start on Darnell Wright. You had a false start on Theo Benedet. They take Theo out of the game. They bring in Braxton Jones on that play. He gets absolutely destroyed, and Caleb Williams would have taken a sack or been Caleb Williams and found a way to get out of it. Then you had a beautiful pass to OZ that ends up going about 30 yards for a touchdown. Mm-hmm. While those are my concerns, do you feel like the Bears can still find a good offense in this? Because we're seeing them have those struggles, but still be able to find their way. Overall, I thought Caleb Williams had a pretty good day.
Yeah, he did. I think he was, a lot of big explosive plays, right? And I think when you look at the play of Caleb Williams, I get back to the offensive line question, but we look at the play of Caleb Williams, right? I saw a guy today that seemed like he was more comfortable. I saw a guy who threw with more anticipation and accuracy. Yeah. And I also saw a guy who's starting to develop, obviously, a real chemistry with not just Rome Odunze, but also Olamide Zaccheaus. Olamide Zaccheaus. He's starting to,
that's what they call him. OZ, go OZ.
But the chemistry between those 2 guys, you can see it's clear like he's looking for Rome now. Yeah. He's looking for OZ. And I think he's trying to establish, a chemistry with Colston as well, especially in the red zone. You look at the targets that Colston's been getting in the red zone. Look at the red zone period today. Colston got a lot of targets in that. So, it's good. But like you said, the left tackle position, I think it's, these guys are getting reps. They're getting quality reps against a different opponent, against a really good defensive front. But at the same time, you have to go back. The coaches are going to watch that film. They're going to be coach hard. They're going to learn from their mistakes. But then I think whoever's going to win that job is going to be the guy who's actually correcting those mistakes, right? Yeah. Who's taking the coaching points from the film and applying it on the field. Though that's the guy who's going to win this job, and then exhibit some type of consistency, throughout the remainder of training camp because it's ticking down.
Can you have a consistent offense if that position is a concern? Because the things I'm not concerned about right now, not concerned about Drew Dahlman up the middle. Caleb didn't face a ton of pressure in his face. Not concerned about Joe Tooney. Not concerned about Jonah Jackson. Darnell Wright, maybe some question marks. And we heard Dan Rashard come out strong. I ain't never seen a coaching staff. It's like the reverse of last year where the players was like, I wouldn't have done that. The coaching staff coming out and they like, this guy's not good. We got to figure this out. We got to get him right.
Well, it'll change your offense. So if you have inconsistency or you're weak at one point of your offensive line, in particular, we're talking about the left tackle position. So there's things that you have to do offensively, right? There's obviously formationally, there's things you do. It can really alter the type of personnel groupings that you use. You may have to use more 12 personnel, have a tight end on that edge to help you chip or to give you some support to make sure that defensive end or that edge is secure. And, it can change your offense. So, it depends. Obviously, Coach Johnson is a great offensive coordinator and he knows what he's up against. And, I think it can be a problem, but I have all the confidence in the world in terms of how schematically and what type of protections they'll put in to kind of protect that position.
All right, we've talked about, some of the struggles that we saw, and we're going to get an opportunity to talk with somebody who's a part of that mix, but we're also got to talk about some of the positives that we saw today, J-Mac. We can't just sit here and harp on the negatives. I thought that the offense had some big moments. Of course, there were some false starts and things in there, but I thought the offense had some big moments. I thought they had some plays that did look nice. Caleb Williams deep pass to Olamide Zaccheaus. He's locked in on Rome. I think the thing that tells you the most that he's locked in on Rome Odunze right now is when he got in trouble in the red zone period, kind of did like the little scramble around, and basically it became Rome's down there somewhere because of somebody getting beat. There was pressure in his face. Throws it up to Rome, 50, maybe a 25-75 ball. There was like three guys around him. Rome still almost came down with it.
Yeah.
That feels like that's my number one wide receiver type of connection right there.
Yeah, definitely. And I know the play you're talking about, I was standing right there and he almost fell into my lap. And I'm old now, so I had to run away because, I'm old and retired. I didn't want to, get ran over and shattered. We're brittle. Old guys, you're a young man. But in that case, I think, like you said, talk about the chemistry and that connection and the confidence that he has in Rome, still putting that ball high and away from the defender and giving his receiver a chance to come down in it. Now, Buffalo, I forget the corner who was on and made a good play by pushing Rome out of bounds. But like you said, that chemistry is there.
It was a really good defense play.
It was a good defense play. And we talked about OZ, Zaccheaus as well. Like, he's always looking for him underneath, like those crossing routes where there's, he's coming across on a drag, a dig, or any type of crossing route or anything underneath. He's looking for Zaccheaus as well. And I think it's going to be interesting to see, right? You look at Detroit's offense, right? And that same position or that same, the production that Amon-Ra St. Brown had from the slot in the Ben Johnson offense in Detroit. You can kind of see Zaccheaus. I don't know if is he going to fill that role that Amon-Ra had in a Ben Johnson offense, but you can see the target volume in terms of Zaccheaus even throughout camp, even last week. He with the Dolphins. I know he left the practice early because he had an injury, but the target volume was still there last week. And then this week, the target volume was still there. So I'm excited to see, what Zaccheaus can do in this offense. We also saw Luther Burden made a couple great plays. He's also looking for Colson. So it's good to see the young guys in the mix, but the chemistry with Rome and Zaccheaus is definitely there.
Any concern that name that we're talking about right now is not DJ Moore? Because we haven't seen him. You talk about the volume. He's not getting a ton of the volume.
He's not getting a lot of targets.
What I will say is this, though. When he does get targeted, it seems like there is always a pass interference flag going out. And he's getting you those chunk yards. But that's who we felt like was going to be the number one wide receiver coming into this joint practice, this season, everything. And it seems like maybe that rotation has switched a little bit.
Yeah, and it's the thing. Here's the thing. It's just camp. You know what I'm saying? It's camp. And I'm sure that, that connection will be, alive and well, here moving forward come the season. Because a lot of times when defense is looking at offense, right, they're trying to find, okay, who's their guy? Who are they trying to get the ball to? Obviously, when you look at this offense, the playmaker right now, you're looking at DJ Moore. We got to put a star on DJ Moore. So how are we going to take away that component of this offense? So you take away that component, now other guys are eating. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that Buffalo, schemed up this offense, because usually in a joint practice, you just run your scheme,
you run your stuff.
and your rule, you follow your rules, against whatever is being presented. You're not scheming anybody up. But I think in this offense, in a Ben Johnson offense, I think it could be anybody's day. One day it could be Rome, it could be DJ, it could be Zaccheaus, it could be Colson, it can be Cole. And that's the good thing about having weapons. But like you said the whole time, like, there's competition. The tight ends are competing with the receivers to get the ball. The running backs are competing with the receivers to get the ball. There's only one football, and there's a lot of mouths that got to be fed with that football. So, for a quarterback to have all these weapons and you have such a creative mind with Ben Johnson, like, the excitement is there. Like, Caleb should be excited. He should be, it's night and day, in my opinion, from what we saw last year. I mean, from what we've seen so far. Season that he hasn't even started, but the weapons will be there. It's got to keep tying in together, and I think Caleb has to continue to take the steps. He's got to continue to keep producing, to keep developing. It's going to be good to see him in live action on Sunday.
It is a weird situation to be in, J-Mac, where my biggest concern coming into the season and coming into this game is not Caleb Williams. It's not the quarterback on this team. Usually that's the biggest conversation that we're talking about. Even with, and I think you got to take this into account, right? Tough day for that left tackle position, tough day for the tackle position overall. that's still a spot where no matter who wins that spot, Joe Tooney's standing next to you.
Yeah.
Ben Johnson isn't going to leave you on an island. There can be a tight end that's out there chipping or helping you block. There can be a running back that's coming up to chip. Like, there's so much that can be done to make that position okay to help you get through the season. It's such a better spot for you to be in when you're not worrying about the interior of the offensive line. You're not worrying about the quarterback looking like he doesn't know where his eyes are supposed to go and being able to get the football there. Some struggles in the red zone. And I think that's something that we've seen in both joint practices, some struggles in red zone period, which is shocking because we've seen them be very successful in red zone last year. Mm-hmm. But not worrying, at least for me, I feel like I'm very comfortable with where Caleb Williams is at for this Sunday's game. And if we started the season right here, I would go, you've got a quarterback that you can win with. Not yet a quarterback that you can win because, which is what Ryan Poles wants.
Yeah, and I think, we're talking about Caleb. Obviously, he's the number one guy. Like, let's not shy away. Tyson Bagent made some big plays today as well. He's been – obviously, he was the first – he had the first opportunity to run this offense in live action, starting the first preseason game. I'm sure he'll get some reps this next preseason game. But, from a Bears organization, you got to feel really good about your quarterback situation. You got the young Caleb Williams hoping he takes the next step, but you got a guy who you're happy with that continues to develop, that continues to make the most of his opportunities when they're presented in Tyson Bagent. So I thought he played well today as well. And we're talking about the offense a lot. We got to go back to the defense because, starting off, the defense was hot. And Kevin Byard had a pick. Tremaine Edmunds, 2 weeks in a row, big interception in the red zone. He picked off Josh Allen. Even a young guy, Alex Cook, had a peanut.
From Caleb Williams today.
Yeah. So we got to talk about these. Alex Cook, a young guy trying to make this roster with the peanut punch, the scoop, and the score. Yeah. So shout out to my guy Charles Tillman for that. But it's great to see you see a defense that's flying around, making plays. And yes, there were some plays. Josh Allen made a ton of plays in the red zone.
I'll tell you this, J-Mac, seeing it up close.
It's going to be up and down.
Josh Allen's good at football.
Yeah,
It literally was. Yeah. There was some throws where I was like, I don't think you can cover that any closer.
Yeah. But the good thing is, like, this defense is a defense that's, obviously cliche, you say a defense is flying around, but they're really flying around. You talk about Nahshon Wright had another great day, big corner for the Bears. And Al Harris, you talked about it before you got on the pod. Al Harris said the game is finally slowing down for him. Yeah. And when you combine that athleticism that he has with the frame and the stature that he has, with the game slowing down and him continuing to get better with each rep, that's going to be huge for the Bears.
I got a chance to talk to Al Harris with the defensive assistants 2 days ago, and he said he always had the tools. Yeah, which I think this is the part that I think it is tough for a lot of people to look at, right? Because right now, and comparing it to that left tackle competition, Ozzie, a rookie. The game is probably going a million miles an hour for him right now. Theo Benedet, undrafted free agent, trying to make his name. Game's probably going a million miles for. It's not year two. It should slow down for you, or you're good at this job. It should just slow down for you. How long does it take for you to get used to NFL speed?
Everybody's different. Some guys as rookies, they can come in and they can pick it up. Some guys it takes a little longer. But here's the thing. It's a lot of times it's you talk about, yes, the speed of the game from a physical standpoint is faster, but what makes you play slower as a rookie, a second-year guy, third-year guy, or a guy that's trying to find a way on a roster is having a firm understanding schematically of what you're doing, what your job entails, the details of your particular position, right? Because if I'm out there thinking about a play call, right, and I'm not sure about it, well, then how can I go full speed? I'm going to be a step slower. Exactly, because I'm out there thinking about, first of all, I got a process, right? And we talk about it in coaching, right? Alignment, assignment, execute, right? So from an offensive standpoint, if I'm out there, coach called the formation and the verbiage is very heavy, in a pro style offense. And obviously you hear Ben talk about the verbiage and them trying to shorten calls, but the verbiage is real wordy because they're telling everybody the formation, there's a shift or a motion that may involve. Then there's a pass concept tied in with the protection that you can a play, which means you're going to throw that first play in the trash and go to the next one, or you can kill a play where you're going to go kill it from run the pass. So there's a lot of things that go into one play call, and you've got to understand, all right, if I'm out there, where do I align in this formation? Okay, am I the man in motion or am I not the guy in motion? If I'm a receiver, what's the route concept? Where am I at formationally within that route concept may change what route I have. You know what I'm saying? And then if they can it, okay, what's the second play? And I got to go through that whole checklist again for the second play, all in one play call. So that's what makes you play slower, because I'm out there thinking, and I'm not just playing fast because I know the details and I know my play. So therefore I can go out there and play fast and execute what my responsibility is within that play.
Yeah, listen, I think we're seeing that now. Like you bring up the defense and you bring up, a guy like Nashawn Wright. It's year 4 for him, year 5 for him, I believe. And Al Harris talked about when we talked to him, he's like, he always had the tools. It finally slowed down, and now he knows how to use them. I think this defense is going to be incredibly fun to watch this year, J-Mac, because there's just so many opportunities that are being created to create pressure, whether it's Tremaine Edmunds or whether it's, Javon Dexter up the middle had 2. He just, I'm bigger than you. Well, against Josh Allen early on, got the arms up, knocked the ball in the air, and he's creating turnovers that way. Like how Dennis Allen is utilizing the pieces on this defense. It feels like you always had the pieces, and maybe this is a system that can unlock them. And that's how I feel. When I look at Tremaine Edmunds out there, he's never looked like this in this system. Right. When he was with Buffalo, Pro Bowler, I think he was in the All-Pro conversation at one point. Like he was one of those top linebackers in football, and he never looked like that here because of what Flus probably was asking him to do. Yeah. What DA is asking him to do, at least in practice, and even today had an interception. He looks like he has been unlocked.
Yeah, you're talking about fit, right? So does my skill set fit schematically what we need to do? You know what I mean? So is my skill set tailored to the scheme, or does my skill set fit the scheme that we're trying to run? You know what I mean? And I think that's what you see. Some guys, they fit the scheme that Dennis Allen is implementing with this defense. And, for whatever reason, his skill set may not have been right for Eberflus defense, which makes you wonder why, you draft a guy like that if he doesn't have the skill set or he's not fitting in your scheme. But, like you said, when things slow down and you have an opportunity to unlock your talent, it's a lot of times just the fit, right? This defense may fit a Nashawn Wright better than it did on his previous teams. You know what I'm saying? You look at Jaquan Brisker, this defense schematically may fit his skill set better. So therefore he's able to go out there and make more plays because what he does well is exactly what they're asking him to do in this defense. So fit is a big thing off, all 3 phases of the game.
Were there any concerns you had coming into today's practice, maybe quieted a little bit? Was there anything that you thought maybe was locked up that you're like, we need to be concerned about that? No,
I knew it was going to be a tough practice, obviously with the talent level that the Buffalo Bills have. My thing is it's like, hey, you know what? Nobody like, yes, nobody on there's no scoreboard in a joint practice, right? Yes, you can say
technically there is, but it's for situations.
Right. This isn't like
you're not winning or losing.
There's no but at the end of the day, right? The ups and downs, the mistakes, both teams won because they got quality reps against a good opponent. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So especially the Bears, when you're trying to sort out who's your left tackle and you have an opportunity to get good quality reps, get good coaching film against a great opponent that has a solid defensive line, that's a win, whether or not they performed at a high level or whether or not they performed at a bad level, because now you have an opportunity to go in there. You're seeing things that you wouldn't necessarily see against your own defense because it's a controlled tempo, right? It's going to be a watered down pass rush because we got to take care of our own. But now joint practice, the intensity level is going to be at a way different, level, and you're getting good quality reps against a good opponent. So it's a win for both teams. And now, the coaches will go back to look at this tape. The guys like we're going to talk with Theo here soon. Yeah. He's going to, we're going to ask him, with the reps that you got today, you've got to take the coaching and you got to go back and apply it, right? And you've got to be consistent if you want to win this job. Yeah. And that's what it's going to take to sort out that left tackle position.
Yeah, we're going to see what ends up happening in the long run. Like J-Mac alluded to, we got Theo Benedet coming up next year. It's going to be very interesting to see, kind of how he feels about this left tackle competition. And, if he feels, he quickly rose up the ranks, J-Mac. He went from being the guy not out there to the guy getting first team reps.
But here's the thing, in Ben Johnson's press conference this morning, I think somebody asked like, hey, like Theo came out of nowhere, and he said, no, he's always been in the mix. It's kind of been a dark horse. We haven't really heard about him. So, it's interesting to see, it's the shuffling. I think it's awesome right now because of the fact that you're going to have to count on these guys the entire season. So there may be different O-line combinations that you may have to work. We saw it last year, the different, the different starting five each and every week. So it's good. You're getting an opportunity to cross train these guys, and it's good you got a chance to do it on a day against a really good opponent.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we get an answer on this soon. I'm getting stressed out here a little bit.
Who would you pick to go win the job? Let me ask you that.
I'm going to be honest with you. After watching the Miami game, and I know a lot of people are kind of mixed feelings because Ozzy's on the right side. I thought Ozzy did fine. I just think he's a rookie.
Yeah.
I thought that Ozzy mirrored really well. I thought that he got his footwork out. The one thing, and Ben Johnson talked about this today as well, I do think because it's not his natural position, he loses some of the aggression because of what you said. He's thinking.
Right.
So maybe that's not the person that you want to have out there. But if we're talking about the person that seemed like they're more time than not technically sound at the position and able to anchor and keep a guy off the quarterback, my pick would still be Ozzy Trapillo. I would assume we're going to get some Theo Benedet number 1 minutes here in this game.
Yeah.
I
think,
because he's been the number one pretty much the last 2 practices. He was number 1 yesterday to start practice when we finished out with a situational period where they were moving the ball down the field looking great. He was the number 1 guy. It wasn't Braxton Jones out there.
I honestly think Braxton's going to win the job. Honestly.
Really?
Yeah, I think because of the experience. I think you have a guy coming back off an injury, still getting back into the mix of things. Obviously, he's getting a lot of good work. They're moving around, but I think at the end of the day, when you look at that experience, right? And I think you just that experience is a lot. You know what I'm saying? It plays a part. So that's my opinion. And I think Braxton just coming back from an injury is tough, but I think his experience is going to give him the edge.
Ben Johnson didn't answer this. He answered around it, and maybe I didn't phrase the question well enough. It might be a L on my part, but I do think that with what you have on this left side, you're going Vikings, Lions, Cowboys, Raiders, Commanders, Saints don't really have nobody left, Ravens, Bengals, Giants. There's not one of those teams without an elite pass rusher on it.
But here's the thing, right? When we talk about offense, right? We talk about schematic. We talk about pass protection. Ben Johnson's going to create ways to where he's not going to just leave his left tackle, right? If there's a weakness on an island, consistently, there's going to be a tight end there chipping. We're going to see a lot of 7-man protections, 6-man protections, full slides to kind of protect that weakness. We're saying we can't even say it's a weakness. It's a
weakness right now. We don't know if it'll be a weakness week 1.
Exactly.
And I think that's truly the part of all of this where you're getting a right. This is where people are like, oh, you wishy-washy, you flip-flop on your opinion. No, you're getting a right now reaction to what we are seeing right now. This is an issue right now. There's still a week and a half,
ton of reps,
and a ton of reps,
a lot of reps left
to still get in. I'm not saying that you're going to have the answer, but you may feel much closer to an answer. You may feel much more comfortable that this guy can be an answer when you get to the end of camp. Right now it's an issue. Man. This is what training camp is for. Training camp is so you can train. It's like people miss that first part. They think it's just summer camp. Y'all just out here having fights. Yeah. Which we did see some of them.
Some good ones.
Hey,
I saw some good ones up close.
The kickoffs, brother.
Man, it was all, I mean, that's the one
gunners,
thing. Bro. That's the beauty of a joint practice. You talk about the intensity level picking up, but you also get an opportunity to, to see who you're going to battle with. Like, I'm getting in a scuffle and my guys on the sideline, they ain't got my back. Then who am I going to war with?
Let me ask you this because it was a situational period. Clock was running down.
Okay.
This was when Caleb had to do the run around in the back and try and get it up the roam in the end zone. They knocked the ball away. Right before that, I think it was, for some reason I'm blanking on. I think it was Joey Bosa who kind of pushes Caleb after the play. But situationally, we got to stay level-headed. We got to get back to the line. We got to run this play. They chose to go for the situation. We need to run this play. Do you need to see your offensive linemen say, F this play? We need to fight for our teammate right there.
Man, I grew. I was here. I'm sorry, I grew up. I was here. Same thing.
Let's start in Florida, ladies and gentlemen.
Grew up and was here at the time. At the time to where, hey, you know what? If one of you guys was going at it on the field, you all were right there. And, with our offensive line back in the day, they'd have been right there in the mix. You know what I mean? You got to stick up for your guys, especially quarterback. You know what I mean? But I understand situationally that you've got to be smart. You got to keep a level head. But in the heat of the moment, we can say all that now.
Yeah.
But in the heat of the moment, that's tough to do.
It almost seemed like they were like, "Oh, we finna do this then," and it was like, "No, let's get set.
Yeah.
We got to get the play." Almost like Caleb was calming them down to say, "Let's
Yeah.
get the play in. Let's try and get this off." Now it didn't work.
Yeah.
There was a lot of pressure in his face, so maybe the fight, he should have had the fight.
But but it was a lot of like to your point though, a lot of flags on the field.
Oh
today.
my God!
I mean, a lot of
on both sides.
The defensive side, they were the defense was going at it. Tyreek was fiery. He's competing. He's going at it. But it was
a lot of flags on the Bills.
Despite the flag, both sides. But despite the flags, some great football, some great competition. Like I said, I felt like both teams won because they got some good quality reps. That's going to continue getting them callous to start the season. That's what we need. Yeah. We got to make sure, like, we ain't trying to win a joint practice. We're trying to win our first game, against the Vikings on Monday night. You know what I'm saying?
If we win Sunday.
So if this is an opportunity against a great opponent to sharpen our skills, for our guys to really work on their craft, but also an opportunity in full pads to help us get callous for the rigors of a long physical season, it's a huge win, whether or not my left tackle won every rep or not. Because at the end of the day, from a coaching standpoint, the reps he did win. Yeah, but the reps he did win, it's an opportunity for me to go in there and coach him up, not just him, but everybody that's playing that position. Because when a coach is talking to one person, he's talking to everybody in that position group. It's an opportunity for him to coach that individual up who took that rep. And then those guys have to go out there and apply it. So you're getting a hard look in practice early, and you're going to get those same looks throughout the season. So like I said, it's great opportunity, good reps for the guys to get callous for the season.
And this is what I love about it, right? Like, nothing we're saying here is not stuff that Dan Rashard isn't telling them or telling us, for that matter. It's not stuff that Ben Johnson isn't telling them. Like, this is not a shot. You keep saying it to me, J-Mac, because I come back to you. I'll text you after a physical day, and I'll be like, J-Mac, like, this was happening, and they was doing this, and they was doing that. And you, because you played in something different, you go, yeah, they're playing football. Yeah, why are you excited? I'm like, J-Mac, I've been up here all this time. Nobody's done this, J-Mac. I've never seen this.
Well, I
was 10 when Lovey was playing.
Right. But the thing is, it's exciting to see. It's exciting to see that, the way practice has been structured, the way this training camp has been structured, has been physical the entire time. No. But there's been more of a physical element that we're seeing. We're seeing more of that than in the past. And you play football physical the entire time. But I'm just saying, I'm saying it's been more than it has been in the past.
Oh, 100%.
In order for you to get ready for the season, in order for your body to be callous, especially for position groups in terms of the O-line, the linebackers, guys that are in the trenches or guys that are in the box, are gonna have high collisions each and every Sunday, Monday, or Thursday, whenever they're playing. You have to get your body ready. As a running back, my body has to be ready to get hit. And yes, we may not be taking that running back to the ground all the time, but if it's not thud tempo or a heightened thud tempo, which means we're live up top and not taking the ball carrier to the ground, well, then when you get in that first game, you get hit or you get tackled to the ground, you're going to be in shock. You know what I mean? And that's when the injuries come about. So the structure of practice has been refreshing to see that, this coaching staff is making sure that their guys will be ready. There'll be no excuses, come the season opener.
We'll see. We're going to see what ends up happening. Of course, the Bears got a game this Sunday. You can catch J-Mac on the sidelines of that game. Stay tapped in with him, Jeff Joniak, Tom Thayer, all on the call on ESPN 1000. We've been teasing this for about 15 minutes. We keep starting new topics. So we truly are going to get into Theo Benedet.
Theo, let's go, baby.
On the podcast, we're going to talk to him about, what he's seeing in his left tackle competition, and hopefully get some answers on what he saw today. Let's get better. Hey, man, we appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love. Here comes Theo Benedet coming up next. All right, we got a special guest on the podcast today. Theo Benedet going to be joining us now in the left tackle competition. Theo, how you feeling today?
Good, not bad. Good practice with the Bills. Good opponent to test ourselves against. Some good rushers that, you can learn a lot from, the good and the bad. So, yeah, it was good out there, hot. So pushed ourselves. Good.
Yeah, we talk about, it's cliche. We talk about iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
You guys are sharpening iron in that room. You're in that competition. You, Braxton, Ozzie as well. How has that competition been? You guys giving each other pointers in between plays and meetings and things of that nature?
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, I think we have a good mix, too, of guys from different kind of backgrounds that have gone to this point. So different perspectives on stuff. Braxton's been great with kind of his experience with some of these rushers. And that's the good thing, I think, is obviously training camp's all about competition, but everyone's been great in terms of, collaborating and realizing it's who's rising to the top, not who's going to be the last one to sink kind of thing.
It seems like you've risen pretty quickly in the rep count. I'm not going to say the depth count just yet, but getting a lot of run with the ones today, getting a lot of opportunity. We see you scarred up a little bit from the practice. What have you done to improve your game to try and put you in this position to win this job?
Well, I think it's really not that complicated in the sense that this coaching staff and this performance staff did a good job, I think, in the spring and at the end of last season, kind of really elaborating the areas they wanted to see improvement from me. And what I needed to do, kind of the boxes I need to check to exactly put myself in a place to be on the field for the Bears. So once I knew that, it was just about attacking it, I think, for the past kind of since OTAs. Coach Rochar has been on me about footwork, hand placement, all those things that I think has helped me. And so I think it's been a bunch of things. But, yeah, footwork, I would say. I think body-wise, I've got stronger since last year. Strength staff did a great job, I think, kind of setting benchmarks for me to hit there. So, yeah.
Second joint practice in the books. Obviously, the Dolphins, last week you get the Bills this week. What excites you the most about joint practices? And then how would you grade your performance today?
Yeah, I think it's fun too because each team has kind of its own character, their own strengths, their own schemes, obviously. So it gets tiring in training camp just blocking the same guys over and over and over again. So to have a little bit of variety can also help, I think, expose kind of some areas that you might have been getting away with certain rushers, but now that you can't with newer guys. So that's been great. I thought today was up and down. I thought we started well. In protection, I thought I had a few reps, obviously, that you're going to want back. But it was pretty good overall. I think we're cleaning up some of our operational stuff on offense. It did rear its head a bit at the end, so we're going to have to cut that out, but good.
What are some of the things that continue to pop up in red zone that you've noticed? It seems like that's where in the last couple of joint practice, the team has struggled to punch the ball in, but some of the big plays you guys have been able to get to be able to finish it off.
Yeah, I think partly those red zone periods, everything gets so condensed in terms of, counting safeties, not counting safeties, who's in the box, who's not in the box, that can present an additional challenge. I also think that just the nature of practice, thud instead of live, can sometimes benefit the defense a little bit because the backs can't finish runs the same way they would in a game.
In this offense, right, in particular, looking at the running game, offensive line, you guys like to come off the ball, displace the line of scrimmage, gives you an opportunity to be physical and not just sit back, in pass protection all the time. What excites you the most about this running game?
Yeah, I think it's just we've come together really well as a group. I think we know what to expect from each other. We can really trust each other in terms of our combinations and stuff, how we fit them. Obviously, Coach Johnson does a great job marrying the run and the pass, run to play action that can kind of really put a defense on its heels, I think. And that helps us a lot. So, yeah, I would say that. And our backs have done a great job finding the holes and then hitting it. So, as an offensive lineman, that's always rewarding, I feel like.
The one thing that I love about the new coaching staff, and I'm sure you guys do too, is they do not shy away from how they feel. We heard Dan Richard the other day talking about, some of the struggles that Braxton and Darnell have gone through. Ben Johnson at the podium today was like, we're waiting for somebody to take hold of this job. Do you appreciate when your coaches are kind of like, this is what it is on the floor, this is how it has to get done, and somebody needs to come take this?
Absolutely. I think that's how you're going to win at the end of the day. And kind of tying into what I said earlier, I think that helps us develop a lot because it's clear the areas we have to improve. It's clear the expectations that the coaches have of us, so then you can attack that full speed.
What do you think, from where you stand now, what do you think is the biggest thing that you have to improve upon in order to win this job?
I think consistency, particularly in protection. I think I've shown my ability to, stay with rushers, keep them off the quarterback. But using my hands, I think, is something that I'm still working at. Obviously, going right to left too. There's different differences that maybe fans don't realize you have to get adjusted to. So it's just time on task, I would say. Yeah.
All right, we got a bunch of football questions in there. We do have to ask this question for the fan base out there. Are you still going by Canadian Eagle?
Whatever people want to call it.
I love it.
That was a strong nickname last year, or has been giving you a new one this season.
I like it.
I've heard that a few times now. Yeah.
Theo, listen,
like
we
that.
appreciate
Appreciate
you
your time,
taking
man.
the time out of the day. We hope that you go out there and continue to dominate, man.
Yeah.
You've been great out here, and we want to continue to see you grow and hopefully win this competition, man.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, thank you guys.
All right, best of luck.
Yeah.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.